Hey guys, it's Liz from Blue and Hazel, and today I am doing a video outside in my gorgeous yard. Check out the colors of those trees. I can't believe it. I love this fall, these fall colors. So today I wanted to take a second and talk to you guys about how we do read-alouds in our house and how we make it work with 4 kids, different ages, 9 on down to 16 months. So it's definitely like a little bit tricky. It's changed a lot over the years, and I just want to share some tips on like how much time we spend on read-alouds, what school subjects we do read-alouds for, and then also like my expectations for my littlest, my 5-year-old, just like what books he pays attention to, and then also how we deal with like interruptions, because we do a lot of reading out loud. I've just really found that I love what our days look like when we just read books together as a family. So Sarah MacKenzie from Read Aloud Revival had kind of given this advice to homeschool moms, saying like, you know, read aloud more, read aloud as much as you can. You know, if nothing else gets done, but you get time to read out loud together, that's a good day. And I'm just really trying to live by that in this season, where sometimes schoolwork is hard to finish, but we can learn a lot from the couch. Right now I have a 3rd grader who's 9, a 2nd grader who's 7.5, a kindergartner who's 5.5, and a 16-month-old. And so read-alouds have looked really different for us at different ages. And I'm kind of going to be talking from the stance of like how we're doing things right now. History is me reading out loud on the couch. We've used Beautiful Feet books before in the past, where, you know, the entire curriculum was basically me reading these living books out loud to them. And that was a highlight for us and kind of spurred us on to wanting to do more curriculum like that, just because it was such a natural way of just learning things and it didn't feel like school. And so the flip side of that is you have to really hold their attention, and that's kind of tricky because little kids' attention spans aren't super long. And so I'll kind of share today like how we handle interruptions, and how long we read for, how often, how many times during the day we read, and just anything that I can think of. Ask me questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer that too. So right now we're doing history together on the couch as a read aloud. Science we do as a family, that's a read aloud. And then we also do our Bible time on the couch, reading that out loud. We do a book a month, usually with Brave Writer. That's our literature guide called The Dart. And I have a video on how we do that. I'll put in the description if you're interested. Like, we also have a lot of picture books that we read out loud, just about nature study. Kate Snow has a post with a bunch of different math picture books. If you're interested, they're great. So I just kind of find these book lists, and I go online and I get the books from the library, so I don't have to spend any time in the library, and we check them out and leave. So it's kind of typical for us right now to get like 50 books or so every couple weeks, and then we just try to read those. Usually they're easy ones that don't take too long, and then I get some, you know, different ones for my oldest, who's a big reader and he reads a lot to himself. In general, when the kids know something, they want to interrupt, they want to, you know, talk. We're homeschoolers, so they're not used to like raising their hands or anything like that. And it can just get a little bit overwhelming when everybody wants to interrupt and answer. And like, oh, what about this? Or I remember this. To some degree, I do really want to encourage them to like be part of it, be excited about that. And so, you know, sometimes I'll like let 1 or 2 comments come in and we'll talk about it, or we'll be like, yeah, awesome. And if I feel like I'm getting interrupted too much, then what I'll tell them, you guys need to stop interrupting. Don't talk while I'm reading, please. And so they're learning and have learned over the course of years, I feel like now, but probably more so this last year, just not to talk when mom's reading. And it is really hard. They still do it, but a lot less now. So 2 things there. They're learning to be respectful when someone else is talking. And then 2, I also have to really learn to respect their attention span limits. so that my expectations aren't like way out of whack. One thing I forgot to mention is what my kids are doing while I'm reading from the couch, all these read-alouds. And my general rule is I don't care what you do, so long as you're quiet enough that we can all hear, and so that you're not reading another book. And so and that they're in the same room. If I have a kiddo who's like a little rambunctious or whatever, I'll tell him, like, I'll stop and say, go get something to do with your hands, like go get some snap chips or some blocks that you want to build with, or Lego pieces or whatever. The main thing is, like, I've had to really tell them, like, no, you can't just go grab something out of your room. Like, while I'm reading, you've got to stay in the room and ask to leave, because otherwise someone will try to go grab this, or people are in and out and it's really distracting. So we have generally say you have to stay in the room while I'm reading. I'll just show you some of the reading that would be normal for us to do in a day. So morning time, we would read a story from our Egermeyer's Bible, and it would be like, I'll show you this story, and then this side. And that would be, probably about 10 minutes for us to make it through that, of me reading. There'd be a few comments thrown in there. Another thing that's kind of helped has been to say, like, if you have something that you want to say, you can, you can try to ask me, and then I will stop when I am at a good stopping point. Usually after Bible time, we have like a Bible, a hymn, and then we do our catechism question. They're like ready to go play. If I was to try to push another read aloud at that point, it would be like really bad idea for just like, I would get frustrated because they would be like restless and needing to go move around, and they would not be very good listeners, I feel like, at that point. So we always take a break after the Bible time. Usually later on in the day, like even an hour later or something, we'd be back in the living room, and I'd say, all right, I'm gonna read a chapter from our book. And so this is one that we're reading right now. It's a pretty thick book, so it's gonna take us a while. So we just try to read a little bit every day. I don't really require my 5-year-old to be sitting listening to this. He can be playing in a different room, he can go outside. This is more the level of what I'd want my big kids to be listening in on. And so freeing him, my 5-year-old, from having to be in on all of the read-alouds makes reading time so much easier. Naturally, he hears a lot of what we read because he wants to be with us, or he's playing within earshot. Here is an example of another one that we're reading, and this is just like a story that is kind of written in a living book sort of a way through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy named Joseph, and it's like him joining the Revolutionary War and describing his experiences. We just keep it short. Like, that's probably the key to success, I think, is I don't expect my 5-year-old to stick around and listen to this, first of all. I try to read when the baby's just kind of happy putzing around. Sometimes if he starts coming over and like throwing things around, I'll say, okay, I gotta shut the book. We'll try again later. Kind of just having a realistic expectation of like, how long can we go? And this changes with your kids' ages and stuff, but like, we always are pushing the limits to see how long can I read before they start to get restless. And so I don't mind telling them, all right, no talking while mom's reading, or please be quiet while I'm reading. And I don't mind telling them that, but I also need to kind of read the room a little bit and see, okay, it's just time to be done. And so wanting to keep reading time enjoyable and not like a chore. And so picking good books helps with that, and then also picking a variety of like picture books and chapter books helps with that, and then keeping the times really short, scattered throughout the day, helps a lot with read aloud time. Right now we're reading Encyclopedia Brown, Boy Detective, and this one is really fun to read. You can see inside there's short, really easy to read pages. This is one that my 9-year-old could read by himself, but it's part of our literature guide, and so I'm reading it out loud because it's too much for my 7-year-old right now to read. The main thing is that we're trying to read for fun, and we're trying to learn as we read things. So I try to pick books from book lists that can do both of those, and then also lots of reading throughout the day in small, short chunks. Let me know if you have any reading out loud tips. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos.